years had those stories in them.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you actually came into that situation, I would just think this, to me, that's a little too forward, bordering on or crossing the border.
It's definitely
into
bordering on stalking, fatal attraction.
Nuttiness.
That's a little nutty.
And fatal attraction, for those of you who don't know.
And guess what? He probably met her on one of those dating sites, which is a great transition to where we're going.
You want to move me along? Fine. All right, we're going to scams now. And I took this from a, let's see if I can find this. It's from a dating site. And unfortunately, they're going to push me back. I just got this. This is from an actual dating site. Hi, I am Patricia. I am a divorced single mom. I'm looking for the right man so I can believe in love again. All nice, right?
Yep, sounds good.
And then this man has to be a gentleman, honest, humble, all good, right?
Sounds good. Sounds like me.
No bad alcoholic or drug past. Not a narcissistic person. No cheaters. Don't play games with me. No adventurous men. No secret murderers. I enjoy.
Nathan's out.
I enjoy. Oh, and no men past 60. No men past
You're
60
out.
plus. I know. This is where I turned on her, and I thought, well, we'll have to talk about her in the podcast. So this is and this is something you see when you look at dating sites, and online dating is obviously a place where a lot of these scams start, and sometimes tell me exactly where it goes. I mean, it starts with a message from
it starts with people voluntarily go to the websites, whether it be Craigslist, what's that, back page, and then what are some of the other websites that they go to, Nate? What's a dating website?
I don't know,
Match.com,
eHarmony, Tinder, Bumble.
Oh, okay. He seems to have a little experience with it.
Yeah.
So you meet someone and you think, based on their profile, based on what they're saying, based on their look, you think everything's normal. And then things could spiral out of control real quick. And ultimately, if it's a bad situation, it's going to be someone who's trying to get money from you.
All right, let me just real quick
take all your money, Dave.
Let's ask this real quick. Nathan, Dale says you look at the picture, they seem normal. You think they're probably normal.
Yeah.
You've done the online dating for 5 or 6 years. Do you ever think that they're normal?
No. If you're on a dating site, you have something incredibly wrong with you.
I always think of it like this. I always think it's like in pro sports, they say if you're big, you have to prove you can't play.
Yeah.
And if you're small, you've got to prove you can play. And I think if you're on a dating site, you have to prove you're not a criminal, a psycho, a scammer.
You want to know what you miss from a dating site? And I can use my own high school experience. So when you're in high school, back in the day, even when Nathan was in high school.
Remember that when the covered wagons would bring you to school in the morning?
What you would do is you'd be sitting with your buddies. It would be a Friday or a Thursday, and there'd be a dance on Friday night. And you'd be looking over at a girl over the next table, and your buddies would give you a little nudge and say, hey, go over there and ask her out.
Yeah.
You'd walk over, and you'd say, hey, what are you doing tonight? And she'd be able to get a read from you. She can look at you. She can smell you. She'll know who you are from her other friends. And you walk, she can smell you.
She'd smell you.
You smell like a goat, or do you smell like you took a bath? And she can say either yes or no because she has some personal experience with you. You can catch a vibe off a person when you meet them in person, whether it's at work, at school. Okay. And then from my experience, I was always doing the walk of shame because I was probably like 0 for 10. And they just say no. But on a dating website, all you have is a picture. Yeah. And then now you have a picture and you meet someone at a restaurant or somewhere like that. And then they come in and they're totally different than what their write-up was. Their picture could be 10 years old or 5 years old or could completely not even be them. So now you're in a completely bad situation. Now, how do you get out of it?
Yeah,
that's the scary thing about dating sites. You have no personal interaction other than the moment that you meet.
Right. Well,
in a place.
And this is in a real life thing. I mean, where you've got, and a perfect example is the woman who's using a picture from about 12 years ago.
Oh yeah,
she's saying she's
30 pounds lighter.
She's saying she's 53, and she says, looking for an honest man. and And vice versa. I mean, I know, but the scams, the actual scams where people, and that's the thing, there's that level of dishonesty, but then there are other levels of dishonesty.
Oh yeah, because what happens is, and you see this, in my experience, I've seen it more with lonely females who are looking for love, and they meet a guy, and maybe they go out on a date, or maybe it doesn't even get to a date, but at some point in the conversation, they ask her for money. Hey, could you help me out with some money? I have a sick relative somewhere. They'll come up with some sympathetic sob story. And if you're a lonely person and you maybe have a helping attitude, you may believe this person and you may give them $50, $100, $200, $300 for their sick grandfather in Albania or wherever the hell he lives, Russia or someplace like that. And I've seen a lot of that. That happens a lot. People come into the station and you can tell. You can look at the girl. She walks in. She's embarrassed. Personal appearance. You're like, yeah, I can see you being on a dating site there, honey. And she tells you the sob story. And some people have lost $400 or $500. Some people have lost $4,000 or $5,000 to these scams.
Yeah.
So it's they just prey on the weak. They prey on the lonely.
Yeah.
And where is the most likely place to find these people? Is on a dating site.
Well, I'll tell you this, it's not just the most, well, I'll tell you the other thing about a dating site. It's the dating site gives you volume. I mean, somebody like Nathan, he goes on a dating site, tells people his name is whatever, Dale Lawrence or whatever. And he goes on the dating site and he just swipe. Whatever he does, he puts himself out there to 5 million women.
Could you imagine Ted Bundy 30 years ago? How many people did Ted Bundy kill? Like 20, whatever, 30, whatever he killed? Imagine if there were dating sites back then. The guy could have had 400 people all over the country, just meeting him everywhere.
That's an interesting point. But, of course, there are more safeguards now because Lifetime movies, people know.
Oh, yeah. People, yeah. And this right here, Inside the Thin Blue Line, we're trying to give you the inside scoop about dating sites.
Yeah.
This is, something. This one came up just the other day. A buddy of mine from the police department called me and said, hey, I heard you're doing a scam show. He goes, you got to put this one on. What it was, and I'll use Nathan as an example.
No, let's use Nathan.
22-year-old meets a girl on a dating site.
Okay, so there's a guy being scammed by a woman?
Guy being scammed by a woman, then by the girl's father, as the story goes.
Okay.
So Nathan's talking to this girl, and she says she's 18.
Yeah, right? And here's Nathan, 22 years old.
She's 18, both of legal age and tender.
Nathan, very lonely. Very lonely, all by himself. Thinks of the desolate life he lives, waiting for that soul that will match his soul and make him complete.
You make it sound so good. So Nathan's talking to her, and things get a little sexual. Nathan makes a couple of comments to her. She makes a couple of comments to him.
What type of a comment would you make, Nathan?
Hey, baby, you want to stick your thumb up my butthole?
Okay, that's okay. I'm sorry I asked.
We could probably cut that out.
Sorry
cut
that
out. Jesus Christ. Maybe we won't cut it out. I don't know. What do you think, Dave?
Anything else, Nathan?
I want you to fart in my open mouth.
Okay.
Somebody has been watching South Park.
All right, so Nathan has conversation. Now, a couple of days later, Nathan gets an email from this girl's father, and the context of the email is, I saw my daughter's dating page. My daughter's only 16 years old. You made sexual comments to my daughter. One of two things is going to happen. You're either going to pay me $2,000 and I won't go to the police, or if you don't pay me, I'm going to send these messages, or I'm going to bring them to the police station, and I'm going to have you charged with inappropriate comments to my 16-year-old daughter, trying to entice a 16-year-old for sex. Now, Nathan was just set up.
Yeah.
He
didn't
22,
know.
And this girl is allegedly 16. So what the scam was it wasn't even a girl they were talking to, Nathan was talking to. It was just some guy, and he threw out to Nathan that, hey, I'm going to turn you into the police. What do? Do you pay the money? Or do you go into the police station saying, hey, I was talking to a girl. I thought she was 20 or 18 or 19. Lo and behold, she's 16. Do you turn yourself in? Do you admit to what you did, or do you pay the pay the guy off? How do you handle that?
I think if you're Nathan, what you do is you say, "I'm Dale Lawrence. Come and get me." But this is very similar to pedophiles and FBI agents, or is it FBI agents or law enforcement?
Yeah, law enforcement who might pose on the internet as a 18-year-old girl, or sometimes they might even pose. No, they're going to pose as a 13-year-old girl,
yeah,
and they're going to try to entice some guy into some conversation and sending pictures and meeting up and stuff like that.
And the guys say, one of the defenses for the men, I've heard this, is they say that once they're in that conversation, it's expected to be a little sexual, to be a little, it's all fantasy role play, and they're just saying the things that are kind of said in these rooms, and none of it's illegal. This is what I've heard.
Yeah, well, if Nathan, let's not use Nathan anymore. He's a good kid.
Now we're to
If Julio,
why do you make him Spanish? Why do you make him
Julio
Spanish?
is because Spanish guys like young girls. That's in the culture. That's common. That's common knowledge.
Oh man!
So if Julio is 18,
what culture is it? Is it the cancel culture? I'm sorry. So
if Julio's 18 and a girl says, "I'm 13," if you put that out there, then as an 18-year-old, legally you got to back off.
Right.
So there's really there's no defense to that.
Right.
It's when the girl is 13 but says she's 18.
Right.
Now that's a bad situation because you in good intent you're talking to someone who says they're 18.
Right.
But in reality they're 13.
Well,
so once you find that out, you're going to have to back off. Because now you're going to be in a situation where legally you could be charged, and now you can be blackmailed by a family member, or even the young girl could blackmail you if she's that.
So if
criminally involved,
right. If she's the type of girl that would steal off of a corpse,
she would one of those girls from Texas.
Yeah. What about? But she said she was 18. If you have, let's say.
Yeah, there's been cases where it's tough. It's tough, and they've been prosecuted and they haven't been Every case has its own individual merit.
But if you've got a conversation chain that says, in which somebody says they're 18 when they're not 18.
Yep.
Why doesn't that cover you?
It's gonna work in your favor, but every situation's different. Every district attorney's different. Every state is different. Everything is different. You can't sit there and say, okay, because she lied, that we're just gonna throw this out. It obviously would work in your favor.
Work in your favor?
It would. I mean,
I'm 18 years old. I want to say something flirty to you.
I've seen cases where that scenario has been played out. The kid's been 13, said they're 18. They might have even met up, and the girl looked like she was 18, but she was 13 or 14. They use their sister's ID or something like that. It's difficult, but it does happen. So that's why you got to be aware when you're out on those dating websites. There's actually a website where it's called Photo GPS Extract. So what you can do is if you're getting photos and you're on a website and you're talking to a lady or a girl and she says she's from Boston, Massachusetts, and she sends you a photo on your phone, and you go to Photo GPS Extract, you go to that website and you put that photo in there and you find out that photo was taken in Texas, then you should be a little suspicious. If she says she's from Boston and that photo was taken in Texas, it's either not her or she took it when she was on vacation in Texas. So that's something we use when we're looking for kids, when cops are looking for lost kids and things like that, and they might send a text message with a photo to a friend. We'll get that photo from the text message, and we'll try to find out where she took the photo at, or the lost kid took the photo at, so you can try to locate them. So that's a good thing to use as a human being to try to find out the origin of that photo.
And this probably was not used for this case, but I know the famous case was the another pedophile case, the Disney girl. I don't know if you remember this from maybe 15 years ago. There was a girl called the Disney girl who was I think she was a young teenager by then, but she basically her picture was traded on a pedophile site, and and they had a background was a hotel at Disney World.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Do you remember the case now?
No, but I don't remember that case, but we had a case. Go ahead, tell your case, and we had a case like that.